This is a Jmix exclusive.
Alright, I don't know if everybody's heard the news, but you can do a quick Google search and find out. You're going to see headlines like Director claims Suge Knight and his attorney confirm theory and fatal shooting of rapper Tupac Shakur. According to new doc, Tupac murder confession letter exists. You're going to see things like, was Tupac's death collateral damage? Was Suge Knight the target? After 20 years, Suge Knight finally comes clean about who were behind the murders of Tupac and Biggie. It's all over the internet that Suge Knight insists the new Tupac death documentary is all true. And what happened is there was a press release, which I will read to you. In time for the April 7th, 2017 induction of legendary rap artist Tupac Shakur into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, former Death Row Records CEO Marion Suge Knight confirms from his Los Angeles County Jail location the details of the 1996 shooting that claimed Shakur's life, alleged in the new 2017 documentary Tupac Assassination: Battle for Compton, are in fact true. Knight was with Shakur in Knight's BMW when the shots rang out in Las Vegas September 7, 1996. Knight was grazed by glass and shrapnel as he and the 2017 inductee were being pummeled by gunfire near point-blank distance at the intersection of Flamingo and Koval. They were stopped at a traffic light, trapped in the traffic when the shooting occurred. To this day, Knight has refused to state specifically who he saw or who he believed was responsible. He has often alluded to the need for him to be taken away from the money, indicative of a hostile takeover attempt of the once renowned Death Row Records, worth close to $500 million at the time. But Knight has also played the media, even offering the thought that Tupac is still alive on an on-camera interview. But this has now changed. Knight has passed word through his criminal attorney, Thaddeus Culpepper, that the story laid out in the new movie, Tupac Assassination: Battle for Compton, was based on his reading of salient points in the movie's underlying book, Tupac 187: The Red Knight, also written by Compton's co-directors and producers Michael Douglas Carlin and Richard R.J. Bond, are a true portrayal of the attempted coup at Shakur's record label, which led to the shooting in Las Vegas. According to Culpepper, Knight is ready to give his statement on both cases. Culpepper spoke to both Carlin and the late LAPD detective Russell Poole, who died before Compton was released, but whose work was heavily featured in the movie, who signed an affidavit of the discussion prior to his death. Culpepper spoke to both Poole and Carlin individually, and not only did Knight confirm the events as portrayed in Compton, which portray Knight as the intended target and Shakur as the collateral damage, as true, but also goes on to allege that these 1996 events may have been the first in a history of attempts on Knight's life. This culminates in the recent attempted killing of Suge Knight at the One Oak Club in Los Angeles, where Knight was shot an astounding 6 times, still managing to live. When Knight was not being shot at, he has been the target of allegations that he was responsible for the shooting of Shakur, rival Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace in 1997, while he was incarcerated for 9 years. In fact, even now, Suge Knight is pending trial where he stands accused of running a man with his truck in what he contends to be yet another attempt on his life. Knight's reaction to the events laid out in Compton were, who are these guys, and how did these guys pull all this together? Before he admitted to Culpepper that the theories in the movie were in fact true. Bond had met with Knight's private investigators, who are now interested in how this information was collected, and Bond and Carlin stand by their insistence that Knight was a victim in Vegas, at the One Oak Club, and in the Compton incident, which Knight is currently pending trial for. For their part, Bond and Carlin suggest that this is the third eyewitness collaboration of Compton's theory of the shooting. The late Frank Alexander testified to the suspect vehicle. Yafu Fula, also known as Gaddafi, one of Shakur's backup artists, gave a description of the vehicle driver to Vegas police, which bears an uncanny resemblance to the person of interest in a confession letter featured in Battle for Compton. Now Knight's confirmation of the story laid out in Battle for Compton may put a final stamp to close this mystery after 20 years. This closure would certainly be a fitting end for an artist whose life will be celebrated on April 7th, 2017, as he is inducted to the 2017 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The producers of Battle for Compton hope he can finally rest in peace. Tupac Assassination Battle for Compton is now available on Blu-ray, DVD, iTunes, Amazon, Amazon Prime Digital, as well as Google Play internationally. What this press release is based on is an affidavit that was signed by Russell Poole. It was a communication between him and Thaddeus Culpepper, which is an attorney for Suge Knight. Thaddeus Culpepper was interviewed by Russell Poole, and this is the telephonic conversation that they had. This affidavit nobody has ever seen. This is an exclusive to this channel, but this is where the press release is coming from, is this piece of paper right here. And in it, what follows is some pretty startling and shocking allegations that's going to tie into a lot of stuff that you've seen on the internet in the last couple years or so. It's going to be a lot more crystal clear for those out there that have been following this case as to why certain events has happened. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read this statement that was signed by Russell Poole on Saturday, July 18th. Attorney Thaddeus Culpepper's telephonic statement. Attorney Culpepper stated that he is co-counsel for his client, Marion Shug Knight. Attorney Culpepper works for lead attorney Tom Mazerow. Attorney Culpepper said he and Mazerow received an information fact sheet on the Biggie and Tupac murder cases from journalist Michael Douglas Carlin. Included in the package was a letter written by Carlin to Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck. Culpepper stated he and attorney Mazerow were visiting their client Knight at the Los Angeles County Jail facility. Mazerow read the Tupac and Biggie murder fact sheet and letter to him. Upon reading of the documents, Knight's reaction was that of surprise. He was impressed on how accurate the information was. Knight stated, "How'd these guys put this together?" He also stated that the information that was just read to him was right on the money and confirmed its content was correct. Culpepper said Knight has known for many years that Reggie Wright Jr. and his ex-wife Sharitha were behind the murder of Tupac and attempted murder of Knight. Knight also has details of Wright's involvement of the Biggie Smalls murder case. Culpepper went on to say that they believe the LAPD leak by the LAPD robbery homicide detective Darren Dupree and former robbery homicide detective Greg Kading regarding the named suspect information on the internet resulted in the attempted murder of Knight in August 2014. Culpepper stated that Knight is ready to give his statement on the two murder cases. However, the Los Angeles County Sheriff is in control on who visits their client. He said they need a court order to make that happen. Attorneys Mazerow and Culpepper want to meet with Poole and Carlin at a later date and make arrangements to interview their client, Suge Knight. This is signed by Russell Poole in July of 2015. Now, this has never been seen before except for this channel here. This is an exclusive. But there are some important talking points that are in this letter. Like I had mentioned earlier, if you've been following this case, you are going to see exactly what's been going on behind the scenes. R.J. Bond and Russell Poole put together a PowerPoint presentation with a confession letter that names Malcolm and Danny Patton as the shooters of Tupac Shakur, and it also ties in Reggie Wright Jr. into that shooting. At the meeting that R.J. Bond and Russell Poole went to was Charlie Beck, a couple other detectives, and a detective by the name of Darren Dupree. And what makes this important is Darren Dupree is former partner of murder rap author Greg Kading. Within 2 weeks of this meeting taking place, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation with the confession letter in it was leaked onto Anton Beatty's channel as a way to discredit a credible and valuable lead on the internet in the court of public opinion. And what makes this even more interesting is within a couple weeks of this letter hitting the internet, Suge Knight was targeted and shot 6 times at the One Oak Club in Los Angeles, California. It has been alleged that a LAPD police officer or sheriff's officer was actually one of the people that let the shooter in the club that night. It has been whispered and has been rumored, and I personally feel that that shooting was a direct result of this confession letter being leaked. And you will notice that in the months prior to this, Lloyd Tata Lake and Reggie Wright Jr. had went on a campaign trying to paint Suge Knight a snitch. And if you look back at this statement, it clearly states that Knight also has details of Wright's involvement of the Biggie Smalls murder case. So what we have here is we have Reggie Wright Jr. trying to label Suge Knight a snitch. We have Detective Russell Poole and RJ Bond following a credible lead, going to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, showing them a PowerPoint presentation with a confession letter, with Greg Kading's partner Darren Dupree in the room. This letter leaks online. Within weeks, Suge Knight is shot 6 times, with the shooter allegedly saying, "You killed Tupac." It's been speculated that an LAPD either sheriff or officer let the shooter in the back door, and now we all see what's happening to Suge Knight. And it's just coincidental that Greg Kading, the author of Murder Rap, has teamed up with none other than Reggie Wright Jr. to sell their narrative of this story. And that is exactly what they're doing, folks. They are selling a narrative of the Tupac murders. And it's a convenient narrative at that. But this is the statement that prompted the press release. And all you have to do is follow the information. The timeline setup is very simple. Reggie Wright and Lloyd Lake start calling Suge Knight a snitch right around the time that this information is being collected and gathered. RJ Bond, Russell Poole, they take this information to the LAPD. Greg Kading's partner is at the meeting. Less than 2 weeks later, that letter hits the internet via Anton Beatty, who has been very sympathetic to the murder rap theory and very vocally outspoken against Tupac assassination. Within weeks, Suge Knight is shot 6 times. Within a year, Russell Poole went to that same sheriff's station with information that a police officer may have been involved in the One Oak shooting, and he drops dead. So I want everybody to stay tuned and keep it locked, because I have an exclusive interview with an agent of Suge Knight's who will detail to us exactly what Suge Knight thought of this case. And it's going to blow the doors off of this thing. And I also want to state on the record, if anything happens to this guy talking to you right here, if anything happens to yours truly, I think you know who did it. RJ Bond, Russell Poole, Michael Carlin may have very well solved this case. And someone is trying to keep Suge Knight quiet. And Russell Poole is not here to speak anymore. But this is the document. And this is the information that's being withheld from you guys, and now you have it. So keep it locked, folks. I have big things coming to this channel.
This is a Jmix exclusive.
What up with Shug?